Abroad. My name is Brooke Roberts, and today I'm talking with Zac Macinnes. Am I saying your name right?
That was actually exactly right, yes.
Rock on. All right, cool. So Zac is actually, I got to know him on Twitter, but he's the social media manager for ISA, International Studies Abroad, as well as a university relations representative for the New England region, correct? Is that still your region?
Right.
Okay, awesome. And he's a 2009 graduate from Emmanuel College in Boston, so we got that in common, a little Boston connection. And you can find him on Twitter at Zac Macinnes and Zac ISA Abroad, and I'll have both of those up on the screen down there. All right, welcome, Zac.
Thank you.
It's
good to be here, Brooke.
It's a Monday, and it's after work.
It is a Monday night, yes.
So I'm a little punchy, so everyone will just have to forgive me. So I like to start off all my interviews, as hopefully people are catching on now, is, so tell me your study abroad story. How did you get addicted to this whole global education thing?
Well, it wasn't really planned, I guess. I went abroad for the first time the summer after my sophomore year. I went to Mexico, and, well, I was hooked. I went for a summer, then I later went for 2 summer sessions to Spain and a whole year in Peru, you know, and then some other traveling sprinkled in there.
Right. So what inspired you, though, as an undergrad to study abroad? Was it something you started college saying, I'm definitely doing that, or you started college and were like, let's study abroad?
It wasn't, because I had no idea that there were organized programs or you know, schools even opened campuses abroad. Like I had no idea of any of this my freshman year, and it was just kind of, I guess, kind of falling into it. It's like, well, I want to do some traveling this summer after my sophomore year, but I don't know what exactly. So why don't I try this study abroad office that I keep hearing so much about? So I stopped by and I spoke to them, and yeah, ended up in Mexico because I knew I wanted to go somewhere that spoke Spanish.
Okay. And had you already studied Spanish up to that point, or you just knew that's what you wanted to study?
I'm originally from Texas, so I always had like a good bit of exposure to Spanish.
Right.
But so I was in Massachusetts, where there was less of that.
Yeah.
So
well, it depends on the neighborhood you go to in Boston. But yeah, I got what you're saying.
So yeah, Spanish was my major, and international affairs was my other major. So those are 2 majors that are pretty compatible with study abroad, which I think is why I was able to do it so much.
So, okay, sorry, I'm going to digress a little. I always love hearing this kind of story. So I grew up on a farm in Kansas, and I went to school in Boston. People were always like, what? So you're from Texas, and you went to Emmanuel in Boston.
Exactly.
How'd you do that? How'd you land that?
Well, honestly, people always ask me, how did you find Emmanuel? How did you find that school? And I knew I wanted to go to school in Boston, and I made a list.
But what drives a Texas kid to go to Boston?
Well, I'm from Austin, so it's not like it's super red state where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to try something new. Head to the East Coast.
Gotcha.
Because I had a lot of friends who had done it before.
Okay.
And Emmanuel offered me a full ride. They have just become co-ed like 2 years after I started, so I think they were trying to lure in some guys, and it worked out.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, so great story. I love fellow Boston people. But you graduated a few years after me, though, so we won't talk about that. All right. So you work for ISA, and you've worked there since you graduated, basically?
Exactly.
Yeah. So so how hard was it to land this job?
Well, what happened was, Emmanuel, for my major, they require that you have an internship your senior year, and which I thought it was such a huge pain at the time, but it actually, you know, my internship was in the study abroad office. Because when I came back, I was like, well, I can't imagine really doing it anywhere else.
Right.
And it was through them that I met all kinds of different people in the field. Like I went to regional, like Boston area study abroad advisor meetings and groups, and that was pretty much
for everybody in the know. It's BASA.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And so you interned as a senior, and then you applied for this position. Had you applied for other jobs in study abroad, or just this one?
Well, I applied to a couple of provider positions because, you know, I read your piece today about how to get a job in study abroad without having a master's degree, and it's true. Third-party providers are a great place to start. I think it's where a lot of the creativity in study abroad happens. So it's a pretty fun place to work, and ISA is actually based in my hometown of Austin.
Right.
So I knew I was coming home. So I was like, well, I should interview.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's awesome. I know that a lot of people are out there looking for jobs, and I don't know that everybody always really considers a provider. And maybe that's primarily because, you know, most of what students or aspiring study abroad professionals, most of their interaction with professionals is through a study abroad office. So that's sort of what they think study abroad really is. But, you know, study abroad as it exists today, at least in the United States, wouldn't be as large or as robust or as interesting, I think, without study abroad providers. So I think it's a really great place to start. And as you said, I think you can learn a lot from that perspective. So that's really cool. So tell me, like, if you had advice for other aspiring study abroaders out there, study abroad pros, as I like to call them, what kind of skills and characteristics do you think that they should try to highlight?
Probably the best
that aren't a given, you know,
advice that I ever got was from my study abroad advisor, who became my internship supervisor. Was she's like, just go out there and network like a fool.
Yeah.
Just no shame. Just you got to put yourself out there, and eventually you're probably gonna find something.
Right.
I mean, the kind of person who studies abroad, I don't know if it attracts like more of the extrovert or study abroad makes people more extroverted. You know, it's kind of like a chicken or the egg kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So networking is your
networking.
Yeah. Great. Great. Okay. So you are responsible for social media, which you launched it for ISA specifically. And since you guys have launched, so how long have you guys been doing social media?
Well, it actually, ISA's been active on Facebook since 2008 and on Twitter since 2009, which is before I started. So,
okay.
When I started, the people that were responsible for it were also doing all kinds of other things. So,
yeah,
I believe that you really need to pay a lot of attention to social media. Like, it's a time commitment.
Oh, totally. It's like nonstop. Yeah.
Exactly. It can't be just another thing that you do sometimes. Like, you have something you have to pay attention to every day if you really want to.
It has to be consistent, for sure.
Exactly.
So since you guys have started, or at least since you have been involved with Study Abroad, or with ISA is social media. Gosh, it's Monday. I can't talk. Since you've been involved with it, how do you think it's impact ISA's enrollments, or at least interest in ISA?
I definitely think it has helped. I think it's been great to communicate with students who are already enrolled on ISA programs. Like, for example, we have a photo contest every semester.
Right.
And we noticed that when we began posting pictures on Facebook and social media, submissions went way up, like by 75%.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's just because that students were more aware of our photo contest. Rather than it just being hidden somewhere on our website, they were seeing it every day. They got on Facebook or Twitter.
You made it social. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, I think that's really great, because I think sometimes people they think of social media as purely a marketing thing, when actually it's also an onboarding thing. So once a student's already decided to go on your programs, it's a great way to keep them engaged, keep them interested, get them excited, maybe bring a friend, and then it helps them create that connection with your organization that hopefully will last beyond their program. And then you have some really engaged alumni. Yeah.
Some of our most engaged people on Facebook are return students who are back on their campuses, kind of aren't ready to leave their study abroad experience behind.
Yeah.
And being connected through the ISA Morocco Facebook page and still seeing the pictures of their program. I think it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I didn't set my alarm. I forgot. Clearly, it's like Doomsday Monday, I swear. But so we're right at 12 minutes now, and so I want to just take we'll do one more question. Well, two technically. So since you do social media, and there's a lot of like study abroad advisors out there, maybe even students who are doing a job search, whatever, and social media just seems way overwhelming. What's like two tips that you would give to somebody who's a little nervous but interested in getting involved in social media? What's sort of starter tips?
This is a great question that people ask me all the time.
Great.
The first thing I always say is to start small. Start with Facebook. Don't get overwhelmed with Twitter and Tumblr and WordPress and all those other things. Facebook is something that's manageable. It's something that you can do once or twice a week. And the second most important thing is to make a plan and stick to it. If you're going to post twice a week, always post twice a week. Nothing is more of a pet peeve to me than people who start a Twitter account and then tweet 3 times and then just leave it be.
Oh my God, I'm the worst. I'm terrible. So I'm going to take your advice to heart. Don't be like me, because I'm the type of person that I let my blog go dormant for like 3 months, and then I'm like, bam, 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 post, post, post.
It's like 17 posts a month. Yeah, totally.
So don't be like me, everyone. Take Zach's advice. Okay, and then the last question, if you could, everything you know about study abroad, everything you know now, if you could do it all over again, where would you go?
Oh, if looking back, I wish I would have spent some time studying abroad in Brazil.
Okay.
I
love Brazil.
obviously speak Spanish, but I never went to Brazil. I would love to learn Portuguese, and I would definitely take the opportunity.
Cool. Well, and ISA has a great program there.
Yes, we do.
Is it Florianopolis, or am I saying it like it's Greek?
Florianopolis.
Oh, Florianopolis. Okay, clearly I don't speak Portuguese. All right, cool. All right, well, thank you very much, Zach, for joining me tonight. That was awesome of you to deal with me on a Monday, of all things. Okay, and everybody else, you can check Zach out on Twitter. He's Zac Macinnes, and Zach ISA Abroad. Both of those places, you can check him out there. And if you're interested in learning more about him, find him on Facebook. I'll have the link right down here, facebook.com/ZMacinnes. So thanks, Zach. Have a great evening, and hopefully I'll see you at NAFSA something soon.
Sounds good, or at least on Twitter.
All right, awesome. Sounds good.
All right, thanks so much. Bye.